It's time to wake up San Gabriel Valley with CCN Sunrise.
Good morning, everybody. We're so glad to have you with us on CCN Sunrise, especially today because we have a special election edition of our newscast or show. We have mayoral candidates Jacque Robinson and Tornek in today, and they're going to keep talking to us about the election, get the vote out.
That's not all. We have ninth grader Tori Harvey here to sing a song for us, and Chef Jessica McClear is here to cook for us. So politics are nice. Food is what it's all about.
I love it when people come cook for me. I need that at home.
Listen, I have to talk to you because I've been having severe back problems. And I went to get some acupuncture, and I wanted to ask you, do you know anything about cupping?
This is a family-friendly show. I don't know if we need to be talking about that now.
That is spooning, not cupping.
I'll leave the other utensils alone with that.
No, cupping, they take clay cups, they hold them over a fire very quickly to take the oxygen out, and then they put it on your skin so it creates suction, and it's supposed to get all the blood going.
So do you have like those alien marks on your back right now?
Yes, alien is a good way to put it, like leopard spots all over my back. And it worked for about, well, it didn't work at all, actually. So I'm...
Well, have you done the needles, the traditional needles?
I had all of that yesterday, and I was coming out of the office like this, and the doctor said, you can't leave the office like that. I mean, you know, it's not a good advertisement for her services. She gave me some more treatments. I went home and laid down, so that's my story.
I did have acupuncture, and I will say I went there, you know, thinking this is never going to work. And my arm was numb for about 3 years after the birth of my son. Nothing would work, and then I did acupuncture, and it did take, you know, like a few months, but gone. I can completely use my fingers again. So just takes a little wherewithal.
I guess. I'll keep trying.
All right, back pain is no fun, not fun at all.
No, not at all.
But now we're gonna head to the news with CCN's Jesse Mogle.
And now, CCN, Crown City News. Your news, your neighborhood starts right now.
Good morning, Sehnita and Joseph. Here are some of the headlines making news right here in the San Gabriel Valley. The two candidates who want to be Pasadena's next mayor faced off during a live televised debate on Pasadena Media's K-Pass and the Arroyo channel this past Tuesday night. KPCC's Larry Mantle moderated the event. Organizers say nearly 300 people showed up at the Pasadena Convention Center for the debate. District 1 and District 7 council members Jacque Robinson and Tornek had plenty to say about a wide range of local issues, including the 710 freeway extension and the recent embezzlement scandal. Perhaps the most memorable part of the night happened when Mantle asked what the candidates bucked their constituents on. Robinson said she couldn't think of anything, then broke down into tears, saying she would tell the crowd how difficult it had been talking with the families of the shooting victims.
I've been to the sites at every single gun shooting in the city, and that's not something that I talk about, whether it's officer involved or not. It's hard. It's hard to look a mother in her face and tell her that I'm sorry for an action that I didn't personally participate in, but because I'm a member of the city council, I feel like I have a certain responsibility.
Tornek's most memorable moment may have happened after Mantle asked if he considered himself to be as arrogant and autocratic as Steve Mattison said he was, and if other council members saw him the same way.
I'm not still beating my wife.
Do you think other people see the same?
I can't speak to that. I can tell you that occasionally, like on the Rose Bowl issue, I was losing at the 7-1 vote. For the most part, I have no trouble working collegially.
You can catch the whole debate on PasadenaMedia.org. We'll also talk to each of the candidates, starting with Jacque Robinson in our first half hour and Tornek in our second half hour, right here this morning on CCN Sunrise in our special election edition. You won't find the drama you see on shows like Chicago PD or Blue Bloods every night on the streets of Pasadena, but the Special Investigations Unit here definitely has its hands full. CCN's Toni Meed went for a ride-along with the Special Enforcement Unit of the Pasadena Police Department. She joins us now live to tell us about her experience. Good morning, Toni.
Good morning, Jesse. Lately, police have been getting a lot of negative attention in the national news following the deaths of a number of unarmed black men. So I wanted to see for myself what a day in the life of a police officer in Pasadena was like. And I rode along with Lieutenant Clausen. He's been on the force for 23 years, and he's part of a team of the Violence Reduction Task Force that works with gang members and tries to prevent crime whenever possible. We talked a little bit before suiting up and hitting the streets.
Special Enforcement Section. That unit is comprised of at least a dozen officers who every day our mission is to go out and contact gang members, investigate gang crimes, and street-level narcotics or street-level narcotic activity, which kind of go hand in hand.
As I suited up in a bulletproof vest, Lieutenant Clausen prepped me on what to expect, and I have to admit I was a little nervous. We spent majority of our time in Northwest Pasadena, which is predominantly black and Hispanic, and unfortunately home to a number of gangs. While we patrolled around Orange Grove Boulevard, Marengo, Raymond, and Mountain Avenue, the lieutenant filled me in on places gang members hang out, including the 800 block of Summit Avenue. He pointed out graffiti tags that gangs use to mark their territories, and parks where kids rarely go because of gang and drug activity, like Washington Park. Clausen says he knows these streets well and that each case and each suspect is different.
A guy that's riding his bicycle that doesn't have a light on at night to where, you know, I know that's a violation of the law. That gives me probable cause to stop them. I also see people that if we're approaching, they may toss something or make an underhand furtive movement to throw something on the ground, and we've gotten out where we see where the person was, and we find guns and drugs that have been discarded by the people. Some gang members over here might be active, and then tomorrow these guys might be active, or maybe these guys are having a gang meeting, or maybe these guys are, you know, rallying for one of their fallen, you know, fellow gang members who may have been shot or killed in a car accident. You know, and those are the things that we tend to watch or watch out for.
We went down alleyways filled with graffiti and did some covert surveillance and in-home visits in problem areas within Districts 1, 2, 3, and 5. Clausen's team stays busy. Just last week, they conducted 85 foot patrols, had 26 field contacts, made 45 traffic stops, 46 pedestrian contacts, 13 probation and parole compliance checks, and arrested 11 suspects for a variety of violations. During my ride-along, Clausen listened closely to the streets, answered 911 calls, chased suspects, and helped break up a fight. Ultimately, there were no arrests that night. Although some police officers here in Pasadena have gotten into trouble in the past few years for officer-involved shootings, loss of evidence, and more, Clausen says he believes ultimately members of the Pasadena Police Department want to solve every case that comes their way.
Personally, I believe every crime can be solved by following leads, conducting interviews, and getting cooperation from witnesses and victims who we find that sometimes don't cooperate. But I believe that every detective wants to solve every crime that he's assigned so they can get some type of relief for the victim, but also put the bad guy in jail.
The lieutenant and I talked about the shootings making national news briefly, and his response was that every case is different, and every day is a different day for an officer. The police chief, Phillips, sends out a weekly notice highlighting information he gets from his officers. Anyone can sign up to receive those notices by visiting the Pasadena Police Department website. Jesse, back to you.
Thank you, Toni, for that report. Lieutenant Clausen also told Toni that on any given day, Pasadena police respond to homicides, robberies, kidnappings, fights, gunshots, and domestic violence cases throughout the city. It's got an unusual name rooted in South America. Ciclavia is coming to Pasadena, so if you've ever wanted to walk or bike down the middle of the street, Colorado Boulevard, without dodging vehicles and risking your life, you'll soon get that chance. I got the opportunity to talk to the founders of the event. Take a look. From Colombia to California, then right into the heart of the Crown City, Ciclavia will soon take over the streets of Pasadena.
It's an homage to Bogota, Ciclavia, where they spell it L-O in the middle, and we just said, just turn that O to an A, and then it says Los Angeles, so it's Ciclavia.
During this community meeting at the Pasadena Public Library, residents learned that for one day, Colorado Boulevard and Raymond and Lake Avenues will be shut down for locals to meet with neighbors, make some new friends, and mingle with other residents.
There are these random acts of social interaction that would never happen on a regular day.
Ciclavia's founder, Aaron Paley, has been proudly putting on this event since 2010. His excitement is contagious. We ran into our very own Lee Cuellar, and this is what he had to say.
I think it's very exciting. Leave the cars at home, bring your kids, partake in all the different events that are going on that day for Ciclavia, and have a great time.
I've only seen it in Los Angeles, and I was kind of jealous because I was in a car and I thought, oh, I wish I had my bike.
Paley says he knows this event might cause a few headaches for some drivers.
We understand that Ciclavia can have a negative impact on somebody's day, but we also know that by and large, tens of thousands of people have this amazing high. They have the best day of the year when they come to Ciclavia, and that's incalculable.
Paley says his goal is to make everyone happy and to have a good time. The best part, he says, it's free, easy, and accessible.
You're going to have the greatest day in the city that you've ever had.
If you missed this first community meeting, never fear. You can attend another one Wednesday, April 29th at 7 p.m. at Pasadena City's College. Pasadena Ciclavia takes place Sunday, May 31st, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and of course, it's free. Those are some of the stories making news this week. Sehnita and Joseph, back to you.
Thanks, Jesse. Coming up, our CCN Sunrise election special. Part 1, we'll talk to both candidates running for mayor in the April runoff election.
We'll start with District 1 Council Member Jacque Robinson, and she's coming up next.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy. All day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning?
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you get stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Jacque Robinson stepping down from a District 1 council seat to run for mayor. She's serving as vice mayor right now. She's here to make a final push and tell us why she should be the mayor of this city. Thanks for being here this early in the morning.
Thank you.
I know you're running around.
Thank you.
Talking to everyone. And you know, I am sure at all of these debates and forums that you go to, the embezzlement is always the first question.
Yes.
And you know, it is such a big deal. And you know, part of that question does speak to Michael Beck. You know, should he stay? Should he go? And I know a lot of the answers are, well, we have to wait and see, and we have to get more information. The thing about that, though, is that you know, for the citizens, the embezzlement is a big breaking news. You know, that we've just found out about this year, but for the city, this is something with the audit that you've known for a while. So how much more information do we need to make a decision on what should happen with Michael Beck?
Well, the City Council found out about the initial investigation probably approximately about midway through 2014, and so we didn't know any more details than the public, so to speak, until later on in the year, right before the information was released to the public as well. And so, as I've said before, you know, I was equally shocked and dismayed, but now we're at a point where we're moving forward. There have been some steps taken by the city manager to fire certain department heads in Public Works and the finance department, but there still remains a ton of information to be investigated, and that's why I say in the totality of the circumstances, once we have the full information, that would be a point at which I would feel comfortable to be able to have full discussion.
When should that happen? When should we get all this information? Because even with the employees that were let go, you know, it was very cagey as far as was it tied to the embezzlement scandal or not?
Well, both of them resigned, but again, there's still a host of employees being interviewed, and we don't know how many more may or may not be reprimanded in terms of what protocols did not take place in order to allow this to happen for so long.
Councilwoman, sorry to interrupt you, but what I am really interested in is where does the buck stop? The city manager's job is to oversee all of this, and yet $600,000 a year goes missing. No one blinks an eye. A lot of underlings are resigning, not being fired. Where does the buck stop? Does it stop at the mayor's office? Does it stop at the city manager's office?
Well, it absolutely stops with the city managers. But again, the city is much bigger than just the embezzlement. The embezzlement is a huge issue, but we also have a city to run. And so I've also said that if it comes to that point where the city council has a discussion and we have information that points to the city manager should be held wholly responsible for this, then we will make that decision in due time. But as of now, we still have a city to run. We can't operate with about 4 significant department heads, inclusive of the city manager, assuming we did fire him. And so we have to make sure that the city continues running.
Well, to that point, there's also a lot of controversy surrounding the police department. Some police officers were protesting just the other day, concerned with the amount of pay, the amount of staffing. So as mayor, how do you communicate and what do you communicate with the police department to settle this down?
Well, I think what you'll find right now is it's not just the police officers. There is a morale issue at City Hall, and the next mayor is largely going to be responsible for helping to restore that morale, and particularly with the police department, it centers a lot around the salaries that we're able to offer. Many of our city employing groups have went without salary increases within the last 3 to 4 years, and so we're looking to resolve some of that because there are a number of senior experienced police officers that know our community that are laterally transferring out to other agencies, and so we want to make sure that we remain competitive and can keep those experienced officers who know the members of our community so that we can avoid.
And how do you do that? How do you raise salaries without impacting your constituents' bottom line, their pocketbooks?
Well, those are the hard decisions that have been made because, again, we don't have unlimited funds, and the police officers need to be compensated, but so do all the other employees groups. So you can't necessarily make a decision about salary increases in a vacuum. It's not just about the police department, it's about the city, all the city employees and the city budget as a whole. And so those are the tough decisions. And down the line, when we start the budget season at the end of April, early May, those are going to be considered as well.
Well, you've been endorsed by the Police Officers Union. Do you have, with that endorsement, is there any influence you have on, with the, the Kendrick McDade, the OIR, getting them to stop the appeals for a redacted report to be released? Do you have any influence on that?
Well, of course, I'm supported by the Pasadena Police Officers Association. I'm grateful because I really view city government that works well as a partnership between all the employees and the mayor, city council, and the city manager. And as I've said from the beginning, since the shooting happened, I have been fully voicing my support for being able to release the report within the legal fines that were limited. And right now, people are framing it in terms of the Police Officers Association holding up the report, but right now the city's hands are tied because the judge has to make the decision of whether or not to release the part.
But I thought he has made a decision, but through the appeals process, it keeps getting stalled.
Yes.
So is there any...
The police don't want it released, is my understanding.
Yes, the Police Officers Association is continuing to ask that the report be held back due to personnel information. And so that's what we're waiting on.
Councilwoman, I want to ask you a question. During the debate, you got very emotional at a certain point and begin to cry.
Yes.
Was that a mayoral moment, do you think?
No, that was a true personal moment, as I said during the forum. You know, police, well, again, not just police officer involved shootings, but pretty much any shootings in the city, especially as it relates to District 1. I've been to every crime scene, I've spoken to every family, inclusive of the incident that we had on Summit about a year ago. And, you know, all of them are difficult. It's not easy looking someone in the eye to apologize.
Exactly. But I guess what I'm asking is, do you think that that show of emotion hurts you with voters, is really what I'm getting at?
No, I don't. I think you have to have compassion in public service. You know, not everything is the Rose Bowl. You're not smiling all the time, and we have to make difficult decisions that affect people's lives in a real way, and shootings is just one aspect of that. And again, it's not because I'm personally responsible, but as mayor and as a member of the city council, we all bear a certain amount of responsibility for every single thing that happens in this city.
And you've been connected to the city for a long time, and
yes.
Involved with these people, with the constituents and residents. Speaking about, you know, mayoral and, you know, looking more mayoral, what are your plans for attracting businesses to the city of Pasadena? I know you talked about in the last debate, it's more about, you know, retaining the businesses we already have. But, you know, last time I went to places like Paseo, Colorado, I mean, it's dead.
It's both, but actually Paseo is looking very empty these days for a reason, because it is a new project. They're redoing the entire Paseo project. There's going to be a hotel that's added as an addition to that property, and so as they're preparing for construction, there are some tenants that have chosen to leave, and then others that are relocating to other areas of the mall, so that once they start construction, they won't be their business won't be as disruptive.
Are the tourists going to have shops to shop in once the hotel goes up? And
yes,
okay.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to stay open during construction, but again, it's difficult to have, you know, full-fledged business going on during construction. So they're going to do the best they can, but that is one of the reasons why the Paseo is so vacant. But it's not just maintaining the businesses that we have here. We have to make sure that, you know, we're attracting new businesses as well, and making sure that we remain competitive with our neighboring cities.
With the about 30 seconds we have left, I'm interested to know, should you win the election, what would be your legacy? What do you think, what would you like your legacy to be as mayor of Pasadena?
Well, I would like my legacy to be that, you know, City Hall becomes more inclusive, and that we're able to have difficult conversations with all segments of the community. One thing that I've found as a member of the City Council for the last 8 years is that, you know, we typically hear from the same people all the time, and this is a city of 140,000 people. Even with just the election, we know that we only had a turnout of 20%, but our city is much larger than that. So what I would like to see is more civic engagement, more participation, inclusive of those communities that we don't typically hear from, and that's what I hope that my candidacy and eventually my mayorship will bring to City Hall, is a more welcoming City Hall that everyone feels comfortable to give their input and help us make the decisions that are going to shape Pasadena for the future.
Well, we thank you so much for coming in. I know you just got off a big debate and all of that, but you have been involved in the city for so long, so we appreciate all that you're doing, and good luck to you in the election.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, take care.
See you soon. Best of luck.
Well, we're now going to get ready for a very special performance.
Stephen Stewart is here to tell us about his youth competition, and then we get a taste of talent with Tori Harvey, and that's coming up next.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
Maybe he's really focused.
Hey, Michael. Michael. Maybe he likes spinning the wheels.
Maybe he just loves trucks.
Maybe he's just being a boy.
Preoccupation with objects is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does.
And like that, you're a job creator.
Crouch. That is a gospel great for you. Stephen B. Stewart, co-founder of Love Olive Branches, is here to tell us about the Youth Talent Competition and Festival that they're hosting. My first question is when and where?
Well, the Youth Talent Competition is July the 11th at Los Angeles Convention Center.
You are one of 11 children who are all singing stars, basically. But you missed out on the family, gospel troupe. What did that feel like to miss out on that family experience?
Well,
was that because you couldn't sing?
Actually, my dad told me I was the better singer of the males, but it was
Did
just
they all know that?
Well, I don't know.
You were the Michael?
Yeah, I guess I was the Michael at that point, but it was a good experience, yes.
And do they all still sing, or?
Oh yes, everybody still sings.
But you didn't go right into singing. You actually went into law enforcement initially,
That's correct.
How did that happen?
Just wanted to do it. I came out to California in 1984 and from Mississippi, and I work with the California Department of Corrections as a parole agent right now.
And how did you continue your music experience and eventually get into the music business?
I was
recording
a
with
church
Andre
boy.
Crouch.
A church boy, raised in Churchton, Mississippi, and never dropped my roots when I came to California. Just continued on and led worship at churches, different churches that I attended.
And with your work with law enforcement, parole agent, you've also worked with a lot of high-risk youth and things like that. Really briefly, I know we can't really get into this, but what do you think of all these shootings that are out there and the whole Black Lives movement?
Well, I think the most important thing is in law enforcement, you have to have a reverence for the sanctity of life. And I think it begins all the way back as a child. You got training and you got policy that that you have to abide by as a police officer, as a parole agent, whatever. And you just got to think about life before you take one.
Absolutely. Now, on a lighter note, I have to ask you, you work with your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Having owned a business with my wife, I just have to know, how is that going?
Well, it's challenging, as you would know. It's challenging, but it's rewarding because work ethic is what I'm all about, and she's a hard worker, and she pushes through and get things done. And
how long have you been married?
29 years.
Oh, all right. Hands up.
Why host a youth competition?
Because it's something that my wife and I wanted to do. You said I've worked in Compton, Long Beach, Pasadena here, and we just have a desire to do things well for youth in the community.
Okay.
You want to introduce us to your singer? Tell us a little bit about her before we hear her sing. And the song she's going to be singing is called Can't Be Love.
Oh, she's Tori, and she was a member of our Youth Music Fellowship last year, and she placed third, and she's a beautiful young lady and talented. And
one more time before she sings, when and where is the festival?
July the 11th, Los Angeles Convention Center.
All right, well, let's hear her. Here's Tori Harvey with Can't Be Love.
I don't understand. Ba-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da. So when the party's over, it suddenly gets colder. I need someone to hold me tight and tell me everything's gonna be alright. Can't be love, 'cause I'm not free, and it ain't enough. I don't believe, oh, belief in love. I don't believe in love, no, I don't believe in love. Ooh. On the outside, it really doesn't make sense. On the inside, baby, it feels so strange. You go your way, I go mine, but it can't be love, 'cause I'm not free, no, 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 and it ain't enough. I don't believe, no, I don't believe, no, I don't believe, oh, belief in love.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of finding someone to invest in his vision? 1 in 4.5 million. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
I wish I was in school. If only I had a math test today. I'll stay after class. I'll clean the chalkboard. I wish I was in school.
School ends, but free lunches for your kids don't have to. Find your local food bank at feedingamerica.org/summer meals for help.
It's time to wake up, San Gabriel Valley, with CCN Sunrise.
Welcome back to our second half hour. Terry Tornek is going to be joining us in a little bit to continue our election special.
And Jessica McClear is here to cook a beautiful breakfast brioche for us. Looking forward to that.
Brioche, ooh, it sounds so tasty. Well, time for the Morning Buzz, local activist and co-admin for the very active Pasadena Politics Facebook group, Mike Pashistorian. I hope I got that right. I'll let you correct me. He's joining us. And we're going to start out, if you've been keeping up with what's happening in the city, you might want to check out that Facebook page. But today we're talking about yet another shooting of an unarmed black man. Video surfaced showing South Carolina police officer Michael Slager shooting Walter Scott 8 times in the back as he was running away.
This wasn't just a shooting of an unarmed suspect. This looked like an execution, a murder.
All for just a broken taillight.
Well, you know, I mean, to be fair, he did run.
Right.
I mean, the whole game changed when he did run.
No,
but,
no,
I agree with you. I mean, I don't understand how you shoot someone 8 times in the back, especially when I think as a pregnant lady, I could have caught up with him.
Well, I don't, the number of times doesn't matter, obviously. It's the fact that you shoot someone running away. And more importantly, that then what your report is that somehow you felt your life was in danger as a 50-year-old man with bad knees is running away.
Excuse from police. Oh, our life was in danger. Yet the video shows, here's the officer, the poor guy is running away. How does the officer feel like his life's in danger?
And obviously, you know, it was a stun gun involved. I mean, he even admits it's the stun gun, the taser, that he's saying that he was going after. That's a non-lethal weapon. So how is your life in danger with a non-lethal weapon?
Especially with that distance.
Well, there are two videos, and I wonder if everybody looking out there, certainly you can check it out on YouTube, it's all over the news. There are 2 videos, another one came out yesterday that showed the beginning of the traffic stop, when Scott first takes off to run, and as you said, he's not running very fast, and later on the police officer catches him, and he runs off again. This entire thing about the stun gun is also suspect to me as well. I don't see it in the video.
Here's the thing about the videos.
It dropped, and then he picked it up and moved it. I mean, that's, again, I mean, how does that go with procedure? Aren't you supposed to leave the crime scene intact?
You know, I don't know about police procedure, but I know this. We're living in a new video age, where as soon as you leave your home, you should assume that you're always going to be under the eye of some type of camera. Whether you're the common criminal or the cop/criminal, you should always assume that your behavior is suspect, is under some, and you should behave that way.
Absolutely. Isn't it fortunate that a citizen was there with a camera to film it? Otherwise, this could have been another one of those instances where the cop's word versus the dead suspect's word.
Well, and how many incidences, yes, that we have already had that we, you know, I mean, obviously we want to live in a society where we can assume what a cop says has authority and we can respect that. But these videos are showing that, you know, who knows what's written up in the police
So
reports.
here's my question to you, Sehnita and
Mike.
So does this video age? As it deteriorates, is it deteriorating our trust in police officers? And
initially it will, but once it gets in the head that, hey, what we're doing, no matter whether we're innocent or a criminal, is under the eye of a camera, we're eventually going to adjust and say, okay, you know, we have to be very careful with our behavior. So it might in the end prompt better behavior, not just from the criminal, but also from the cops, because the cops are going to be carrying on their body a camera,
which, as we witnessed also recently, can be turned off. The mics can be turned off.
But I think the main thing, you know, just closing this, it shouldn't be about us against the cops and distrust of the cops. It should be us against bad cops. You know, cops who aren't following procedure, who aren't doing what they want to do. Because there are wonderful cops out there. We do need to support them.
Unfortunately,
but it is these bad cops that we need to weed out.
It's the bad cops that tend to give the good cops a bad name. And as you've pointed out, the trust in the community is essential. Mike, thanks for being with us. We'll have to have you back.
Thanks for having me. Have me back at a little bit later hour.
Well, you'll get your coffee in. Well, he was the first candidate to throw his hat in the ring for mayor. Terry Tornek is going to be joining us next when we come back.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Was the first candidate to throw his hat in the ring for the election for mayor of Pasadena. We talked with him way back in July of last year. Terry Tornek is here with us now to discuss his vision for the city and for the final push in the runoff election on April 21st. Welcome, Councilman Tornek.
Thank you.
What is that vision?
Oh, I think Pasadena has a reputation of being a place that is incredibly diverse and is really a model for other cities that they've tried to emulate. And I think that we've been slipping a little bit for a variety of reasons, and I think that people would like to be assured that we can restore our place as really a model for other cities to try and match up to.
Well, I think the hardest part about that of continuing to be a leader is some of the funding going on. I mean, you talked about in the last debate that there is not a lot of funding, and then you put the embezzlement scandal on top of that. We're losing $6.4 million and didn't know about it after 10 years. Where's the accountability?
Well, there are a bunch of different things in that question. I think that accountability is critical in terms of reassuring people that we are good stewards of their money. People don't like to pay money to government under any circumstances, but they get particularly angry if they feel that you're not taking care of it. Our economy is doing better. We have more revenue coming into the city, and that's a positive thing. The problem is that there are tremendous demands on every dollar that we have, and we have to be very careful in terms of how we allocate those dollars. But in terms of the $6.4 million that were stolen, happily, I think we'll get more than $5 million of that back through insurance. But it's really, the bigger issue for me is that it's symptomatic of a larger problem, and that is that we're really not performing up to the standard that I was referencing, and we need to restore that level of performance.
Do you believe that there is a level of trust, certainly that's been broken between management of the city and the citizens of the city? My question then is, where does the buck stop? Does it stop at Michael Beck's desk, or does it stop at the mayor's desk?
Oh, I think it's a shared responsibility. I think that Michael Beck is the chief executive officer of the city, and he's responsible for hiring and managing the activities. But I think we all share in the responsibility, and I think that we all need to work together to make sure that, as you say, that the accountability is restored so that people can be sure that we're taking care of business at City Hall.
Well, and going back to Michael Beck, I think one of the things that is a little upsetting to me is that, we only recently, as citizens, have found out about the scandal, but it's been out there for about a year. So why isn't there enough information to know whether Michael Beck should stay or go?
Well, frankly, because the district attorney did not want to reveal the details until she was ready to file charges and not jeopardize the success of the criminal investigation and prosecution, we were somewhat hamstrung in terms of what level of investigation could happen because it would have tipped our hand and alerted the bad guys that we were looking into it. So you say it's been out there for a long time. I mean, there has been some knowledge of it, but the really thorough investigations had to wait until charges were filed so that we could put this guy behind bars.
Well, let me cut to the chase, and then we can move on from the embezzlement. Just as a citizen sitting here, my feeling is the guy who's in charge of the city, who didn't see that $600,000 a year was missing, ought to be gone. Why is he still in office? That is what, as a voter, I'm wondering, and I want to know from my mayoral candidates, is the first thing you're going to do when you get in office fire him? Why do we need more information? What more information do we need except that some funny business happened on his watch and he should fall on his sword?
Well, I'm sorry you feel so aggrieved. Sometimes acting swiftly is not acting wisely. And I think that what we need to do here, the reason we've got these investigations and the reason we have a citizen task force is because we felt we needed to have a really thorough investigation of what was happening rather than just a knee-jerk reaction. I went to the task force meeting just before the debate the other night, and we've got a group of citizens, citizen experts who are looking at this, and I think after they complete their work, we'll have a much better understanding of what we should be doing. And frankly, I like to be fully informed before I take an action as dramatic as firing the city manager.
But you're willing to do it?
If it seems appropriate, absolutely. I mean, he serves at the pleasure of the council. He doesn't have some long-term contract. And if we discover that, that he really had dropped the ball in terms of, as you seem to have concluded he has, in terms of supervising the people that he should have been, then he's gone.
I mean, he did come in at the tail end of this whole scandal. It started much before he did come into office. But moving on, we're going to stay with funds, but moving on to the police audit that was released, and also the protests from some of the officers talking about, you know, the police department is about to implode, as they're saying, from their point of view, and they're saying there are not enough funds for training. I know the audit covers a time period that predates, you know, Chief Sanchez mostly, but this whole issue of not having enough funds to hire and train officers is still lingering. Where do we find the funds?
Well, it's interesting. You know, the officers want more money. All the city employees want more money. The officers want a lot more money, and frankly,
because they could get it elsewhere, correct?
Well, you know, we're not in the top three of paying, but we never have been. So there's a little bit of a distortion there in terms of how we size up against other communities. But in terms of funds being spent on public safety, I think it's important to understand that in 2009. We spent 44% of our budget on public safety, and today we're spending 50% of our budget on public safety. So we haven't given short shrift to public safety, but it is clear that we haven't kept pace with some other cities in terms of what they're paying their officers, and we have kind of a perfect storm because there are so many people. It's an aging police force, both here and elsewhere in the region. So there are a lot of policemen retiring in Anaheim and Santa Ana, and Santa Monica, and they're hiring, and they have always paid more than we do. But it's now impacting us in a way that's not typical. So I think you need to drill down a little bit and really understand what's happening and whether this is a temporary condition or a long-term fix. And while I do think we need to allocate some more resources to public safety, it's pretty clear that we're not going to be able to meet the demands that are currently on the table.
Councilman, I want to go back to something that happened during the debates. When the moderator asked you a question about comments from another councilman that you were perhaps arrogant and autocratic, and you made a joke, which some people got, other people didn't, about not having beaten your wife. And then it raised the hair on the necks of some people out there. You care to respond to that?
Well, I mean, the question was a loaded question and was unfounded and really was character assassination. I was so surprised and offended, frankly, that a journalist would pose a question in that way, that I reacted in a way that perhaps might have been insensitive to some people's perceptions. For that, I'm apologetic. But I think that the people that pounced on it are people that have a horse in the race. So I think it's a little bit of a distortion there. But if I have offended anyone, clearly I'm apologetic.
Well, you know, I mean, you know, questioning if that should be out there. I mean, even when the Pasadena Star News, you know, initially endorsed you in the primary election, you know, they had made note that there are some people who, you know, who might bristle at some of the ways that you react, but they still endorsed you. But what was your reaction when in this runoff they've now chosen to endorse Jacque Robinson?
Well, I think that there is some practice in Pasadena of being very polite, which I share, but I am more straightforward and outspoken than maybe some people are used to. My concern about endorsements now is limited to what the voters say on April 21st.
The endorsement that matters.
That's the only endorsement.
But Councilman, honestly, what when you have a hard job to do, you come into office and embezzlement, the police department is upset, neighbors are upset about what's happening with the Rose Bowl. Is there anything wrong with being autocratic?
Well, I don't think I'm autocratic, but I am direct and outspoken, and I think, frankly, some of what ails us in City Hall could use a little straight talk. So I'm not apologetic about it. I mean, I am what I am. And if people elect me, they should know that I will speak directly and forcefully, and I am an advocate rather than just a participant. So I think there will be, if I'm successful, there will be a change in style at City Hall. Frankly, I think that City Hall could use it.
Well, we do thank you for coming out here this early in the morning. I know that's a little bit tough, but we hope to see you again, regardless of the election results. We hope you continue to come visit us and update us on what's happening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. If you're looking for a tasty breakfast meal, our next guest has it for you. And Chef Jessica McClear will show us how to make a tasty stuffed brioche. That's next on Taste of Sunrise.
Psst, they're coming. Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 68 children is diagnosed with autism. That's about a 30% increase in 2 years. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
If you are hosting a breakfast and you need a great dish to wake up your guests, or if you just need a great dish to wake up yourself, Chef Jessica McClear is here, and she may have just the recipe, and she's going to show us how to make a stuffed brioche. McClear's stuffed brioche. Sounds delicious.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so you're going to take your brioche roll and...
Now, before we get brioche, it sounds very fancy. What is brioche? I know Kaiser roll. What is a brioche?
I know bread.
It's a really tasty, soft bread. It's, I guess, French.
Do you make this yourself, or is this something you can pick up at the grocery store?
You can pick it up at the grocery store. You can, I'm sure you can find a good recipe online. This was made by a colleague of mine. So.
But if you're waking up early, maybe you're
it's easy. This is something easy. You can just grab. You don't even have to use brioche. You can just grab any roll you like. You're gonna take the stuffing out, and what you want to do is, if you want, you can use meat and line it.
So you have ham.
Or
but
you
this
can
is
do
one of the
spinach.
things. So you can
play
with it. If
exactly.
You're a vegetarian,
if you don't eat meat, you can use spinach. Anything that can line the bread so that the egg doesn't soak into it. You'll take your egg, and then you just crack it right into it.
Oh, that's easy.
So it's pretty simple. You can take whatever cheese you want. Mozzarella is really good because it's nice and stringy.
Should you season the egg first? Salt? You have salt and pepper here?
You can season it first, or you can season it after.
Does it matter if you break the yolk? You got to start all over?
You know what? You can make it a scrambled one if you want. You can, if you like to have it like this, you can do it like that. So either way is really good. It's whatever your preference is. You can make it however you want it.
Now, what cheeses do you have here?
I have the mozzarella, and I like mozzarella because it's stringy and everybody loves getting messy in the morning. So.
Yes. And then what I see some spice in that. That's going to be for me.
Yes, pepper jack.
Pepper
jack. You can use cheddar, pepper jack, Swiss cheese, whatever you like. If you don't.
My mind right now, I have to tell you, is racing because what I love about this is that is the creativity that you can bring to it whatever you want. So I'm like thinking apples and
you really are thinking.
Yes,
that just went into a whole different direction than I would have gone.
You don't have to make it a breakfast one. You can put maybe roast beef with cheese and whatever you want to stuff it with. Exactly. You can make a peanut butter and jelly one if you want.
We know what her kids eat for breakfast now. Nutella sandwiches.
Health food. And this is something that you can make with your kids. You can prep it ahead of time, have it ready to go, pop it in the oven at like 375 or 400 degrees.
So
for
an
about
hour
20
ahead,
minutes.
you can do this, and because the bread is lined, the yolk is not going to soak through and make it.
And you just top it off.
And if you have guests, you can do kind of like a breakfast bar then, like put out the ingredients, they do it themselves.
You can have like a little buffet bar, have everything ready to go and prepped out, and then you just want to put it in the foil, you'll wrap it up.
Each individually?
Exactly. You can do each one individually, and you pop it in your oven.
How long do you leave it in the oven? Because there's a different time if you want it runny or not runny.
Exactly. So it depends on how you like your yolk. About 350, 375, depending on how your oven is. And then you pop it in the oven for about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how you want your yolk. If you have it this way, or if you want it scrambled, then probably about 20 minutes.
Okay. Well, are you gonna take a little bite of that?
Well, let's look at the finished product.
Make it
here.
look pretty.
So a nice toasted on the top, and of course this was made ahead of time. Oh, look at that cheese.
Oh, it's nice. That
This
looks
egg,
really
this
good.
yolk is a little harder. Should I just? We don't have
Can you put
knife.
like tomatoes and things like? You can go right ahead.
It's not messy at all, unless you have a runny yolk. But
don't be shy. I know you. You're like.
I would tell him.
I'm wearing a suit.
You pregnant lady.
I'm wearing a suit. This is how you might eat at one of Jessica's fancy breakfast parties. When you have a suit, you have to lean over.
You've got it down. You've got it down. You're missing your apples, or perfect?
This is really good. The brioche is nice and buttery. The egg, the ham. It's easy, it's neat. This is how you can use it in the car.
Yeah, you can take it on the go.
While you're on your way to work.
I'm probably going to be doing with
it. Something you can give your kids and say, here, let's go in the car, let's go to school, have breakfast on the go.
And the fact that you can make this a dinner dish very quickly with beans or whatever you want to put in it. Jessica, this is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Actually.
Thank you
Now, what
so
do you call
much.
this?
Breakfast surprise.
Breakfast surprise.
Well, that is it for our show. We thank all of our guests for coming in today, especially the mayoral candidates, Terry Tornek and Jacque Robinson, for coming in this early.
Yeah, also Chef Jessica McClear for getting up early and sharing this breakfast brioche with us. And being here in studio. Thanks also to our segment stars who are here and crew, and especially you out there for watching us. And we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.
And a big shout out to Stephen Stewart and Tori Harvey for performing. 9th grader.
Can't believe she was 9th grade.
I know, that's what I wanted to tell her. I could not believe she was in 9th grade.
Lovely voice, song. It made me jealous. I wish I could sing like that.
Very powerful. So I love these little caps on here. So, and some of these things you can do the night before. You know, that's
you can prep everything ahead of time.
This is just
black forest.